All right, guys, so welcome to another episode of the highly acclaimed show, Imperfectly Perfect podcast. And today, what I like to do is obviously read through a bio. So I'm going to get straight into it before we get some surefire questions. So this guest has just finished up 3 years as Erinsborough villain and series regular in Neighbours, Australia's longest running drama, 35 years where he played the ever troubled Finn Kelly. But first came to the nation's attention in 2003 as a finalist on the first series of Australian Idol. Starred in the off-Broadway smash hit Puffs at the Alex Theatre, his first non-musical stage performance to record-breaking success and rave reviews. Hit the stages of the highly acclaimed successful Broadway blockbuster Wicked and played over 500 shows in Melbourne and Sydney, receiving rave reviews and establishing himself as one of Australia's favourite leading men. His credits include playing title role of Jesus in Jesus Christ Superstar, Sam in Ghost, Danny in a national tour of Grease, Legally Blonde, The Last 5 Years, and Into the Woods, Cinderella's Prince, and Hair. Has featured in a myriad of shows, pre-recorded and live, from The Masked Singer behind the scenes, Celebrity Apprentice, The Project, Studio 10, Today, Sunrise, Dancing with the Stars, Spicks and Specks, Postcards, Carols, By Candlelight, What's Up Down Under, Have You Been Paying Attention? And is a huge advocate towards mental health and openly uses his platform to spread awareness for several foundations. And we're so grateful for him getting on board the efforts of the Imperfectly Perfect. So welcome to the show, Mr. Rob Mills.
Hey mate, thanks so much, Glenn, for having me.
Oh, you're welcome. It's been a while.
Lockdown life. Oh mate, what a time it's been. Where was it? Last time we saw each other in the flesh a couple of years ago. So much has happened for you. Imperfectly Perfect has grown astronomically, which is fantastic. I'm so proud of you. I'm so proud of you for spreading that very important message of it's okay that you're not okay. So I think it's fantastic that the work that you've done over the last how many years now you've been working on this, mate. I think it's fantastic.
It's coming to 3 years, and I'll tell you something with that. Like, everybody always sees highlight reels, and attesting to you guys in the public eye, everyone sees the highlights of all of you guys, and I'm so grateful for your support and the press and all that kind. Behind the scenes, people don't tend to see that stuff. And I think attesting to what the whole campaign is, along my journey, I've been brought to my knees. I've felt what it's like for certain people. And then on the flip side of it, I didn't know who was real around me. I didn't know what people wanted from me. And I was like, what is going on? And along the way, I've actually learned there've been lessons, blessings in disguise, that it's actually made me stronger in terms of knowing how to do what I want, knowing who's real, who's not. And I suppose attesting to you, all the accolades that you've done, and you came to obviously fruition through Australian Idol, but the first time that you mentioned and spoke openly about your mental health was from the actual show, where, attesting to what I just said, it's kind of you were flung into the limelight.
Yeah, and sort of not really having a good idea of who I was as a person back then. At 21-year-old, we're not really taught about sort of self-awareness or how to build up your self-worth. It's sort of like, just you work it out in your 20s kind of thing. And I sort of had to work it out in a really, really quickly in front of the nation. I don't want to say that, I was only on television for like 10 weeks, but in that period of me not knowing who I am, everyone had a really good idea of who I was. So I think and I was like, oh, maybe I'm that guy. And then I'll just be that guy for a bit. Not so good. And I'm sure that you've probably gone through those same sort of things most recently, mate. And as an Are You OK Day ambassador, I must ask you, are you okay? Is everything all right? Are you okay, Glenn?
I'm fine, thank you. But yeah, that's one of the things, like, I'll turn it back on you there and say a lot of artists, whatever you've done, show their struggles through their work, I suppose. So with me, I used to say to friends, to start that question, are you okay? I was like, okay, so you see these myriad of images of all these public figures, but is anyone seeing in I'm okay? Because I'm sharing, I'm taking on their energy, and not one person.
Yeah.
Are you okay? And I'll mention him because I know we're mutual friends to him, but the late Michael Falzon, incredible friendship we formed, and he used to reach out every other week and go, Glenn, are you okay though? Like, and I'll thank him forever for that and keep leading him through all this work. But that's the thing, when you're doing your work and you're on stage and you're doing everything, sometimes you pour your heart out into your lyrics, into everything you're doing. When you was on that reality show, how did you comprehend when you've got lights, cameras, you've got publicity, you've got all these new people that are suddenly wanting to know you? What is it like for somebody wanting to look at your life where you started, maybe wanting to go down that route and not being experienced as you were?
Oh, mate, to be honest, if I think back to when I was 21, being oblivious was actually a bit of a probably a good thing to it all, because not knowing what was happening, just like so happy-go-lucky to go along with everything. I think that was actually a bit of a blessing. But as I teach a lot of workshops to kids in theatre and singing and performance and stuff, and I always say, get a good idea of who you are. Try and get a really good understanding of what you stand for, and that will help you if you want to go down this path of I don't know. I always think celebrity is the byproduct of doing the thing. Well, the fame is the byproduct of doing the thing that you love doing. No one actually, I don't think, actively seeks to be famous. If that is your goal, you're going about it the wrong way. You're going to be found out. That's not a very authentic way of living your life. Try and find the thing that it is that inspires you, that drives you, that you're passionate about. Do that. And if by chance you happen to get some sort of notoriety from it, I don't really like the word fame at all. But if you then you can deal with it, because you're like, well, that's just who I am. I just do that. That's my thing. It's a thing that I do. It's not really, it doesn't define me. I heard a footy player the other day, Bailey Smith. He's a young guy from the Western Bulldogs, young, 20, 21. He's a bit of a gay icon at the moment. My friend told me about this article he'd spoken about, and he said, I don't define myself as a footballer. I'm just a guy who plays football. I really like that. I just think that's a really fascinating and a great mindset to have at such a young age for what could be you get swept up in the world of footy. But yeah, pretty profound statement from someone so young, I think. So yeah, get to know yourself. Get to know yourself more. Find out what your values are, who you are, what you like, what you don't like. That's really important.
Because you so openly talk and as you say, as an ambassador for Are You OK? And you talk about your depression and things like that. When you was at that height of fame for that particular show, how did you deal with that? Because as a male, and like we like to break that stigma of men coming forward and really knowing it's okay to speak out, who did you reach out to? Was there times where you tried saying it indirectly to make people notice, or was you trying to hold it all in?
I was trying to hold it all in, mate. There's something that we do. I don't know whether it's Australian thing, it's a male thing. I can only speak from a white Australian male perspective. That's just who I am. That we don't want to be a burden on others. I think I've been researching lately. I've been doing a whole bunch of interviews with blokes and stuff, researching a book at the moment and about blokes, about Aussie men. And one of the things that come up is, we don't want to be a burden. I don't want to put that on my mate. I don't want to tell him that stuff. It's not like we want to be vulnerable. Oh, there's another little tidbit. We're scared. We may be scared of being vulnerable because vulnerable, when you look it up in the dictionary, means being hurt. And we're scared of being hurt. It's not we're hurting others. We're scared of being hurt ourselves. But my mate framed it in a really good way the other day. He said, instead of thinking about being vulnerable, think about just being open. Like, I'm open enough to be able to talk about this stuff. I'm open enough to be like, if we got into some deep stuff, I could probably cry right now in front of you, Glenn, because I know that I trust you, and we're in a pretty good friendship level that you're an open guy, I'm an open guy. I'm not being vulnerable. I'm just being open. I think I really like framing it that way. It's a really nice way. So going back to your question, I definitely would have held it in back then and riddled with like guilt and sick feeling. You feel nauseous, and I just found if the more I talked about it with a mate, if having these thoughts and feelings or about who I am, it's the things that you hate about yourself that you don't want to talk about. Really, everyone's like, yeah, I feel that way about myself as well. I'm being quite narcissistic. Yeah, I don't like that. Like that's a lot of them is the guilt that comes with that, and then you realize, everyone's like that, and then you don't have to be like that, and you choose to do something else or do better by other people. Do something for someone else is a really good way. Finding a good psych, finding a good counsellor, someone professional who can have, if you know your mate can't give you the right advice. Quite often at 20 and 21, there aren't that many like self-aware, super like spiritual kind of awesome dudes. But you'll find them in uncles and older men and older women. Find those people that you can talk to, or as I said, seek professional help, and that's something I've always been trying to get blokes to do. I mean, you go see a physio for a sore hamstring, you know, why not go see a psych for, you know, a sore brain string?
When we first met, I think it was your hamstring you bust when you were hobbling about in Bondi in that cafe. You were.
Yeah, it was a calf. It was a calf. I still got the sore calves, mate. Still got them.
But that way, you just touch upon something there. And I think once you've gone through your adversity and the more you openly speak about it, you step into your truth. And you touched upon there a little bit about finding somebody spiritual. My journey, boom, it's just brought more spiritual people. And I think when you hit that stage of adversity, there's a part of you that does kind of attract that sort of attention from people who are more spiritual. And you look at things a lot differently and you don't make judgment on people. And I think then you just step into your full authentic self. I hate that word because some people's actions don't mean what the definition means. But I mean, once you know someone that comes from a place of love, transparent, and then you can just, I don't know, it's like you've known each other for years. And there's just kind of brother, sister, and you just, you know what, I went through body dysmorphia. Yeah, well, I went through clinical depression. Oh, how you doing now, mate? And it's just kind of this, wow, guys would never mention spirituality or depression or body dysmorphia like maybe 20, 30 years ago. But what's...
now we are. And as you said, the connection that you get with that person, especially in Sydney, it's very hard to find those connections. But as soon as you're real, it gives permission. It gives permission for other people to be real as well. You've got to create that space for them. If it's not there, be the conduit, be that person that creates the space for others. So then they can be real, like, oh my God, the next thing you know, everyone's having a real conversation. So I also should point out, having real conversation isn't necessarily just all about the sad things that have happened. It's not all about the problems that we've had in our past and how sad and how hard our lives are. Because in the grand scheme of things, as a white guy who grew up in Australia, life is very good. It's like we're pretty, like there are other things to talk about. I think guys sometimes are fearful of having this sort of a chat. Is that all we're going to talk about? Or we're just going to talk about sad stuff? No, mate, we're still going to talk about heaps of other fun stuff that we do. But it's just a good way of, as I said, creating that space where we can connect on something that's actually real instead of just. I sat in a men's circle a few months ago. This older bloke, he said, because there is nothing, Rob, nothing more boring than small talk with blokes. nothing.
So true, so true. Have you got to the point? Yeah, I found it really strange a few months ago. It was somebody that I'd met, and again, we was just so open with each other. It was this US guy, and at the end of it, it just went, "Love you, brother," and I was like, "How do I?" Love you, brother. I didn't know, but he was like, when you get to that space, it's not a love like that. It's just a mutual respect that, you know what, I can have these conversations, whether hard, whether good, whether what. But well, it's going deep, mate. It's going deep.
That's what we do. That's what we do. No, love's good. Love's a good thing. I think the love between two blokes is great. I think it is different to an intimate partner, I would say, but it doesn't mean blokes can't get intimate in their chats without. That's like now I'm blurring lines here, but you know what I'm saying. You know what I'm trying to say.
No, you're going to get in a minute, mate, and play me a love song, aren't you?
That's right. I like saying I love you to my friends, to my close friends. I think it's important. I think it's very important.
It is. Since you came out and spoke about your struggles and everything, and now you're so openly about it, have you found a lot more conversations being easily accessible with people that come into your life, the guys in your life? I know your close circle probably, but have you found it easier just to strike up a conversation and ask if someone's okay?
Yeah, 100%. As I said, I've created the space. I've made myself vulnerable, or I've made myself the person who can talk about it. So like, let's talk about it. So Yeah, definitely. It's made those conversations easier. I did my mental health first aid last year in the lockdown, I think, which I encourage everyone to do. Like the booklet is great. I learn heaps of things. Like a lot of it's common sense for anyone who's empathetic, which is 99% of the population.
Yeah.
But it's just good to sort of, I don't know, to be aware of mental illness as well, and the different levels, the different scales. I was having this chat with a mate the other day, and people talk about mental illness, like or mental health or mental wellness, and they're also different. Like people can have depression, but then people can be clinically depressed and need actually need drugs to get out of that, or beta blockers, or whatever it is. But some people might just be having a bad day, and that's also, I'm just going to have a mental health day. That's also similar, but it's not the same thing. It doesn't carry the same weight as the other thing. So I think at the moment we're still putting it all in the same basket. Just because of awareness, we're all just getting aware of the importance of it, which is great. But it is nuanced, and I never want people to forget how nuanced it is and how different levels of mental illness that there are. The different levels, like there's psychosis, there's people with borderline personality disorder, all those sorts of things. Like they could say that they're having a real bad day, but like maybe you're like that all the time, and you probably should see someone. I actually can't help you if you're going to be in that position. And that's other really good thing to know for people out there who want to help. Some people cannot be helped by you, and that's also okay to know. I'm not saying that you back out of every hard situation, but yeah, you should definitely put your hand up and try and help. But when you know that you can't anymore, and I'm sure you've met several people, Glenn, over the last few years that maybe fit that category as well.
Yeah, and I think
it's a very small part. I should also point out there's a very small percentage.
Yeah, and I think that's like the human condition, isn't it? We're going to meet everything from all walks of life. I'll tell you, going back to your mental health first aid, I learned something when I did mine in the first year. And I went there, and there was two guys, and they were openly speaking about that they'd been inmates. They went down the wrong path. One guy, his mum was well respected, but she was a single mum, and he got into the wrong crowd, started with drugs, selling drugs, and actually went inside. Now, he said, when people go inside, there's one of two groups. Is like either a lot of them end up who were addicted to going down that road, and the other group tend to work out and train to get through the time. But the people who train tend to look at the people who are on drugs and everything to get through the time as weak. After he did that mental health course, he actually understood that those guys weren't weak. They were just suppressing emotions that had probably come through PTSD or trauma. And then he understood it better. So I think as much as humans, we judge whether good or bad. What I'm trying to do through the podcast is we need to be more mindful, because everybody is just, like you say, some people can't be helped, some can. But if we can be educated and understand that everyone has a different story, and the more
100%.
It's...
Yeah, mate, 100%. There's a great video that my friend sent me. My friend Gemma Ricks, she's doing Frozen at the moment. She's currently playing Elsa, wherever the big Frozen, the main. Anyway, this is not important. I'm just name dropping. She sent me a great video. It's on YouTube for all your people out there. It's called "The Best Explanation of Addiction I've Ever Heard" by Dr. Gabor. It says Dr. Gabor Mate, but it's Mate. I don't know if you've seen this before. I'm just going to put it up to the screen, even though it's fantastic. It's one of the best. It's 10 minutes. You've got 10 minutes. Have a listen. And it's all about what you just said, about trauma, about everyone that has either gone to prison or that is doing it tough, and including all of ourselves as well, that we have some sort of trauma that we're just holding on to. We haven't addressed it, or that it's perpetuated itself in with family, with friendships, and that we just haven't really addressed it yet. We haven't really looked at what it is. It doesn't mean that you have to hold on to it and that's the trauma of my life and it's going to be so hard forever. You need to just look at it.
Okay.
Just be aware of it. Yeah.
I think COVID's obviously taught us to go inside, but so you've clearly gone on to carve a successful career, and the accolades speak for themselves, Rob. How has that part of your journey through dealing with mental health early on shaped your journey and your career? because the more successful you become, the more known you've become, and not just here, you've done theatre elsewhere as well, and that just brings this whole new level of exposure. How have you managed to carve out your journey? Should I say?
To be honest, I just say yes a lot. I think as a creative, we just try and say yes. Or for people who are scared to do the thing that they're meant to be doing, they say yes to other people and they end up just doing things for others. That a lot happens with creatives in this world. I think actors do it a lot, waiting for the next thing to come along. Someone else will give them a job, yada, yada. I say yes a lot because I like to challenge myself in different ways, whether it's stage or film or television. I try and say yes to the things that scare me the most, dive into the fear of the things that, if I'm doing things that are easy, I get bored and then I realize, that's because it's not the thing that you're meant to be doing, Rob. So
it's true though.
Mate, 100%. We always get distracted and, there's something shiny that's pointed towards us. We're like, that looks pretty good. It's just,
so do you prefer theatre? Do you prefer show? Like, your broad range, you do everything. So what is your favorite, or do you just like the transition because you get bored so easy and you want to do it all?
I'm saying I get bored so easy. I just mean that it's like, I know. But I think I like the soap because it's challenging. There's a longer form kind of character that you can build over time. I really like the banter with the crew. I really like the challenge of learning something new every day and trying something different. When you're in a musical, you're often doing the same thing. You walk to 7, do your line, turn, and then you walk over to 8, and then you say your bit, and then you sing a song, and maybe you do some choreo and whatnot. Sometimes they can be quite repetitive and a bit boring for some people, but I don't know. I always try and just remember that it's someone's first time every time in the audience. It's always someone's first time, and I would hate for them to look up at the audience, up from the audience, and go, "He's not really into it." Like I've paid my money and sort of phoning it in. So I never do that. I always, like, as soon as I'm on stage, even if I'm having a bad day, give it 100%. I do love them both. I think they're both great. There's the immediate response that you get from being in a stage show. I recently just was back on stage with Chess the Musical. We got out of Victoria before the lockdown. We went to Adelaide, to Perth, and then to Brisbane. And we did 4 shows with incredible orchestras from each city and a brand new choir every time we were in different cities, different students. And it was incredible to be on stage with Nat Bass, Alex Lewis, Mark Furs, Paulini. Like the cast was ridiculous. It was so incredible. And I realized, this is it. This is the thing I'm meant to do again. It had been so long. It had been, well over a year since I'd been on a stage with my fellow actors and singers and the orchestra. There was something really beautiful. I whirled up many, many times backstage, and then even during the bows at times, this is great. This is what we do. We're not meant to be alone. We're not meant to be trapped in our apartments or houses. We are meant to go out and experience art together en masse as a community. We're meant to perform it as a community and also experience it all together. I really missed that energy. Yeah.
I don't know if you was there that time, but I think it was obviously what you did with Luke and Michael and everyone with the swing shows, like that music. I came to see maybe a year and a half ago now, when it was in Sydney at the back of the Ivy in a big auditorium, and there were several people. I don't think I was in that one. Yeah. I think I couldn't get there because I was doing Neighbours back in Melbourne. But you would have seen probably Ben and Michael, Luke, and I imagine it would have been Matt Lee as well. Yes, Ben's voice. Every time I hear that guy sing, everyone can sing, but I'm just like, wait, Bublé. It's like so deep, so rich. It's
like Joe Cocker meets Michael Bublé. It's very impressive.
Yeah, well, everyone's impressive. It's just amazing. Right, I'm going to ask you big question. What I ask everybody on here then. Well, 2 big questions. So, according to, or attesting, should I say, to mental health, well, let's get this one out of the way. I always say, since you've opened your story and someone's come up to you, has there been one pivotal moment where someone's made an impact on you from hearing you open up and share your story?
I think I get messages from people just saying, thanks for being real, thanks for being authentic, and thanks for just being. And I always think that's a really lovely message to get. You know, I don't know how else to describe it. Like that's a really nice compliment, just to say thanks for being you, Rob. I think is a really lovely compliment. I don't get a lot of. Yeah, I can't think of anything really specific. There's from these interviews I've been doing recently. I interviewed Reverend Bill Cruz. He's a minister out at Western Sydney. If you get a chance to visit Bill at the Exodus Foundation, it's like a soup kitchen and a shelter. He's been running it for 30 or 40 years. He's just he just released a book recently, and I always feel overwhelmed when he says that I'm a good person, and I nearly cry. I'm welling up now. Like having his blessing. There's something about Bill that he's just this. I mean, he's best friends with the Dalai Lama. Like he's like the nicest, loveliest human. And he says, "You're a good guy, Rob." I find that even I was speaking to a few people about this recently. I've sort of gone away from your question a bit, mate. Sorry, but I think it comes back to sometimes we feel bad about being. I don't know whether it's an Australian thing, but loving ourselves. Whenever if I speak to my psych, he's like, "You're a good guy," and I was going, but like, yeah, like you don't like certain things about yourself, but sometimes when you just have to own it, this might come across as very wanky on your podcast. Even now, I'm protesting it, but do you know what I mean? Like,
I get where you're coming from.
It's okay. It's okay to like yourself. I'm not, saying I've got Rob Mills posters all over my house. I'm not that kind of guy.
You're not coming around.
yeah. It's just, there's no shrine. There's no shrine in my house. There's nothing like that. But yeah, there is something being told that you're a good guy, or that you're good enough, or that you belong. I think that's the other thing as well. So yeah, nothing really specific when it comes to like people that I've met. I just thoroughly enjoy meeting people and making them feel comfortable enough to just tell me their story.
Yeah,
I think you do that quite well, Glenn. Like you, as I said, create the space to allow people to be their best selves. I really like that as well. I like trying to create that space for people. So don't have to pretend. You don't have to come up to me and act all macho and stuff. Just be you. If you want to have a chat, let's have a chat. If you don't, that's fine as well.
Well, I think that's now I just say to people when I meet them, I say, look, I'll be very honest with you. I've got this innate ability to make people cry in a good way. They just open up. But what you said there about the Reverend there, I think once you get kind of a blessing, or if we go into that spiritual part, is when someone's spiritual into their faith tells you something like that, I got what you said automatically, because the amount of times that someone said, you've got a good heart, you've got a pure heart. Like it's not tainted. You don't look at people or judge or all this kind of. So I got it. And the people that know will know. That's why I always say you just speak freely on this podcast, because the people who that will resonate with, it will.
Yeah, and if you don't get it, that's okay.
You're just not on that part of your journey yet. But one day
you'll get there, guys. You'll be touched by the Dalai Lama. No, I don't know.
So I'm going to ask you then. Since the last time we caught up and everything else, kind of attesting to the campaign, but what ultimately does being imperfectly perfect mean to you?
It means, I suppose, owning your imperfections at its core. Having those chats with your psych, having those chats with your partner, and saying, "I don't like this about myself." We went for a walk this morning. I said, "I just feel sad. I feel sad at the moment." She was like, "Why?" I'm like, "I just sometimes I feel sad. You know, it's nothing that you've done, but I'll try and make it your fault, because that's what we do." I think it's hard. It's a hard one on social media to remain super authentic. I think if anyone knows me, if I haven't posted anything for a long time, oh, looks like there's food arriving. That's a good sign. Thanks, Sonny. My partner's ordered dinner. Great time. It's a great time. I think, yeah, it's usually I can't be bothered, or maybe I'm a bit sad, or don't feel the need to. All right, this is something. Okay, this is something I struggle with, and another mate of mine struggles with this a bit. So, and I imagine you do as well. So the thing about perfectly perfect or trying to be authentic, my thing is you don't need social media. You shouldn't need it to pump up your tires. You shouldn't need it to. You shouldn't really be using it to even faff around. It's a waste of your time, right? Because you're constantly judging yourself against other people. You've got a FOMO thing going through your mind. You're or it's either sending you stuff that you don't need to buy, but the only way to sort of get your message out is through social media, because that's what everyone is looking at. So I struggle with it a little bit, like, hey, here's something really cool that I've done, or here's a really cool message that you could be doing for yourself, but you shouldn't really be looking at it because you should be out there doing it. Do you know what I mean? Like, I think that's why the podcast is quite good, because people are not necessarily on their phone; they're sort of out walking, or I'm hoping you're out walking or having a jog right now, or maybe sitting on the couch having a cup of tea. Either is good, but yeah, I struggle with that a little bit, knowing that it is the only way to do it, but also it is also.
Way. So you haven't come across the new application on the iPhone and that called Clubhouse?
I don't know what this is. What's Clubhouse?
So Clubhouse came about during COVID. It was from like Silicon Valley angel investors and all tech guys back in the day, but it became more prominent when like Grant Cardone and the business guys got on it. Then expanded, grew to like billions of dollars for the investors. But basically it was an audio app, certain rooms in there, and then you can go in and listen to people talk and have conversations and meet people all around the world. So I at first loved it because I was networking and it was expanding this. But then I started noticing, like, I'd wake up in the morning, I'd just look at it quick. I'd notice the same people in it during the morning as in the evening. And some people were doing rooms for like 24/7. And I was like, oh no. But then again, there was the clout chasing where people was going, I earn X amount, I've got this many businesses, I've got this. And like, I was trying to break it down for people. And I was like, if you've got that much money, if you've got that, like, you wouldn't be sat on an app for 24/7. Like, there's that activity as well. And I'm just like, anyway, I know that your food's just come, mate. So I'm going to ask you, what I know you're not in lockdown anyway. It's only Sydney. So what's coming up for you? And what are your plans for the rest of the year with projects? And you've just got off the back of one. So
yeah, off the back of Chess, I'm putting together some more interviews about what it is to be an Aussie man. So sort of writing a book at the moment. So that's been really interesting and really challenging. My mate just gave me a book about resistance and procrastination. So I'm like, I'm reading that going, yep, this is me, this is me, this is me, this is me, this is me. All about that. It is a little gem I can leave you. If anything is hard at the moment, it's obviously the thing that you really want to do. If you're trying to stay away from it, it's probably the thing that you should be doing. So yeah, do that. So I'll be doing a lot of not procrastinating, but doing a lot of writing and working on a couple of one-man show ideas as well. So yeah, lots going on at the moment, mate. And a few auditions for TV, film as usual, but you know, hopefully something will stick. If it doesn't, that's fine. I'll do something else. I'll work something out.
Where can people find more information about your website, your Instagram?
Yeah, mate, you can find robmills.net.au, or you can go to my social media, which is it's not very good, but it's okay. Look, it's got some real stuff on there. I probably do more stories, which I find more amusing and fun to do because they're just gone. They're gone in a day. You know, you put something down, it's done. That's it. If you want to look at it, someone, did you see that? Well, I didn't. I missed it. Well, you missed it. Too late. It's gone. That's like in normal life. Like if you miss something, you weren't there, and that's okay. So I think I enjoy the stories more.
I think people need to remember memories stick in there, not on Instagram. Like we can look at them, stick in there, don't they? Experiences. Well, mate, I know your food's here, so I'm
thanks, mate. Hey, before I go, I will say you said something great. Then experiences are everything. If you are feeling down, you're feeling sad, I can tell you a good bushwalk is so good for the soul. If you can get out to see some trees, go see nature, go see some cliffs, go to the water, get in the water when it's freezing cold, like do something with some friends, go organize a trip that you never would have done before. Like, especially you've got all this free time at the moment in your lockdown or without we're just opening up. Go and travel Australia. Go and see as much as you can. Go and do a day trip to a country town that you've never done before. Give back to the communities that have really done it tough over the last 12 months or so. But yeah, adventures will definitely perk you right back up.
Yep, you cannot beat Australia as much as everyone's had it tough. We live in an amazing country, mate. So I just want to say, on behalf of me, on behalf of the campaign, thank you. And on behalf of all your mental health advocacy for all the foundations and everything you do, mate, I just want to say thank you. I'm going to put all the links up so that you can find all the information about Rob, all his projects and what he's got coming up next. But guys, until next time, make sure you subscribe to the Imperfectly Perfect podcast and keep having those hard conversations, because it's the hard conversations that save lives. Until next time, stay safe.
That's pretty good.